get to a point where they're like, okay, there's no dairy, there's no meat, there's no oil, there's no salt, which is a great place to be. Mike and I are not there yet. We are still consuming oil, not a lot of it, but we still haven't figured out that popcorn thing yet. So we get there. So I think what we're going to do, what he and I are talking about doing for next month is to try oil-free and see what that does for us. But that means we got to get in all that stuff before the end of the month. So you're starting popcorn every night. So what I want to talk about next would be how to kind of get from where you are to where you want to be. And where you want to be is up to you. You know, I'm not here to tell you what to do in your life. I just, I have enough to do keeping my own self straight. So if you're at a point where you're looking at cutting down and you don't want to go, whole hog. Ha, see, that was a joke, Bonnie, just as you walked in, whole hog.
I got it.
You don't want to go cold turkey. Is you can start to look at your diet and say, well, I'd like to do more of this, I'd like to do more of that. And then if you have like the reason why you want to do that, that always helps too. If you want to lose weight and you want to decrease your cholesterol, or you want to try to get to a point where you don't have to take medicine for diabetes anymore. So if you have a goal, that helps, because then you can start to say, okay, what can I do here? And one of the things that Mike and I do, and mostly me making Mike do it, is to no, that's actually that's the perception amongst some of my Facebook friends. They're like, oh, let the guy eat a burger now and then. I'm like, I'm not stopping him. He can eat whatever he wants to. He's a big boy. So what we do try to do is we try to kind of do some experimenting. Like, okay, we're going to increase our greens, for example. So I'll focus on making sure we get plenty of greens. And I'll tell you, at this point in the year, if you had greens in your hand, I would take them from you, because I'm just ready for greens. So whatever it is that we're working on, we do like a 30-day challenge. Because 30-day challenge, you can do anything for 30 days. It's not that hard. Right now I'm doing actually a 40-day, for Lent, I'm doing a 40-day Pilates challenge. So that's been fun. And I'm like, okay, I can do this for 40 days. It's not hard. But anyway, so you can go step by step. One of the things that you can do is you can look at your meal rotation, because we all have things that we have pretty regularly. Tuesday is taco night, Wednesday is spaghetti day, whatever it is. So you have different things that you circle through your menu on a regular basis. So what you can do is you can pick out the things and say, well, which of them are already vegan, which of them are close enough that it wouldn't be hard to switch it over, and then what can we add in that would be vegan into the rotation. So something like tacos, really easy to do. You can use like a Boca burger, like a hamburger thing. Gardein has a hamburger thing. What's Gardein's called? Hamburger thing. So anyway, and then you can take something like this spice mix that we did last week, and you can mix that in, and it just makes it really easy to substitute out. Or you substitute, instead of hamburger, you use beans. And then we talked about mixing those nutrients in as much as possible. So you can do pinto beans and black beans and kidney beans all in one mix, and that makes it a really easy way to get that different collection of nutrients. Am I talking really fast? Because I feel like I'm talking really fast.
I think it's good, because
Okay.
I think we're all vegan now. People just keep talking.
So this is what happens when you eat a really healthy diet. You have so much energy, people are like, get away from me. Woo! Okay. So you can start to work things into your meal plan, and it's pretty easy to do that. So if you're having taco night and you make them vegan tacos, or you start to increase the number of vegetables in your vegan tacos, rather than having iceberg lettuce and cardboard tomatoes, then you start to bring in some interesting stuff. Put in some spinach. Go crazy. Crazy, it's a Saturday. So what I try to do is anytime I'm doing something like spaghetti, usually I would do spaghetti and maybe put some green peppers or red peppers, maybe put some mushrooms. And now what I do is I put green peppers and red peppers and orange peppers, and then I throw in some tomatoes and I throw in some whatever greens I have laying around. So you start to really kind of bulk up your meals with that additional vegetables. It's really easy to do. Now, I talked, I think it was last week, we were talking about spices. You know, I didn't grow up in a household where we did much with spices. Like, you know, get a little crazy with more than 2, salt and pepper. So it's the same thing with vegetables. You know, we would have a vegetable, a little tiny, you know, canned peas on the side there. So, you know, now I just throw stuff in all over the place, and it's really fun. I mean, I literally throw stuff. If you could see my kitchen right now, because today I was cooking like last minute because I didn't want the vegetables being warmed up and mushy. So I left a really big mess at home today. But I have somebody take care of that, so. Anyway, so it's an easy thing to do, and anytime something is easy to do, guess what? It's also easy not to do. And it's also easy to be really tired and be like, oh, I don't want to chop vegetables. So what I did with today's meal is I chopped the vegetables yesterday, put them in the refrigerator, so they were ready to go. And that's a great prep thing that you can do to make your life easier. Salad bars are really fun to do too. So you can kind of cut things up today and have them for the next 2 or 3 days. And then you don't have that pressure of, oh God, so rotation of your meals, you can add stuff in. I wanted to touch today on some vitamin, mineral, supplement-y kind of stuff, because one of the things that it's difficult to do is to get B12 in your diet. Kathy, welcome.
We've been waiting for you, we've been calling out your name every few minutes.
We can't start without our champion.
I guess everybody's having a good time.
It's kind of the theme.
I don't know why.
I don't know why, but it's probably at my expense. So B12 is one of the vitamins that is difficult to get in a strictly plant-based diet. So that's one thing that you should maybe consider supplementing, and we do. We take a B vitamin supplement. When I very first, 137 years ago, became a vegetarian, I was not getting enough B vitamins. And I had a summer when I was in high school where I couldn't get off my couch. I changed that up a little bit there at the last minute. I couldn't get off my couch. I remember watching a Red Sox game and thinking how exhausting it must be to walk out to left field. And I'm like, I don't think I'm doing something right here. So B vitamins are an important thing to think about supplementing. Vitamin D, you're actually probably better off as a vegan with the vitamin D piece of it, but it is something that, particularly in the northern climates, is very hard to get enough of unless you're sitting in the sunshine, like the cat. So anyway, that's another thing that might be a good idea. Calcium, they've been really, the last probably 20 years, they've been really pushing higher calcium levels. And now recently I'm starting to hear things about, oh, that might be a little more than we really should be getting. So I don't know. I think the jury's out on that. Yes, ma'am.
I heard a comment that calcium makes you have more cholesterol in your blood.
Yeah,
That worried me.
Yeah, that's something that I've been hearing lately also. So, but when you think about,
Just with somebody who eats an American diet.
yeah, so when you think about people who, and the amount of cheese that we eat in this country, so that may be that we're eating so much cheese that we're getting way more calcium and it's causing problems building up So, I don't know, I'm a little, I would consult your doctor about the calcium thing. Minerals, we actually do probably better on a plant-based diet with the mineral side of things, because what we're eating is actually growing in the dirt, so we're getting some good stuff from that. But I do, we take like a multivitamin, and then we take an additional supplement for B vitamins, which I feel like we're well covered. Obviously, I don't have an energy problem. And I don't think my arteries are clogged. Okay.
You have an energy problem, too much energy.
Too much, I gotta take it down a notch. So, let's talk about, how to,
Can I ask?
yes, ma'am.
How about omega-3?
Oh, thank you, yeah, we talked about that last week, I think. That's okay, no, it's important to go over again. Because actually, maybe it was the first week we talked about it, because I think I got it backwards, and my husband had to sort it out for me. So, there's omega-3s and there's omega-6s. The omega-6s, when they're out of balance with the omega-3s, cause a problem. So if you're eating, if you're drinking a lot of oil, yeah, some people do. But if you're eating like a lot of cheese and stuff that has a lot of oil in it, and those plant oils, the olive oils and the safflower oils and the soy oils and the corn oils and the so the omega-3s can get overtaken by the omega-6s, and that's when it causes a problem. So for omega, a lot of it's the balance problem. So if you're not drinking a gallon of oil every day, then the omega-3s you are getting from your diet have a better chance of doing their thing. So it's really that balance of making sure that you're getting the omega-3s. And one of the things that we do for omega-3s is we talked about putting some flaxseed in your stuff, your food every day. That's one of the things that we do. A lot of times the stuff that we think we have to worry about isn't really that much of a problem once you get the crap out of your diet. Does that make sense? So do you have things that you do to,
I take a supplement.
yeah,
Not algae.
Yep.
Omega.
so you don't want to do fish oil if you're vegan. But, so the algae side of it, and then you can also get foods that have algae in them. And it sounds weird, but like it's in ice cream, so it's not really that weird. It's all good.
Yeah.
So, yes, but omega-3s and keeping that balance in mind is an important thing. And a lot of it is just getting out all of the oil out of the diet, which is what we're gonna be working on next month. Which means no more veggies. And some of the cheese that we've been eating.
So I just have a question that you're mentioning about no oil. I mean, is that typical vegan or is that your choice vegan?
That is the recommendation of a couple of doctors that have been researching all of this stuff. Actually, several of them say get rid of the oil because there isn't any need for it in our diet. We need fat, but we don't need the oils. So that's because what it's showing is that we're getting more inflammation, and there are several doctors that say the fat that you eat is the fat that you wear, which makes sense. If you're at Dunkin' Donuts every day, you start to look kind of like the donut. I don't know if you do that. Yeah.
Okay.
So, and that's kind of like the fourth stage of a plant-based diet is getting rid of the oil and the salt. And I mentioned last class or the one before about the salt that I get, my joints get inflamed if I have too much salt in my diet.
I've heard about the salt, but not so much the oil, so
Yeah.
I'm just curious, but it makes sense what you're saying.
Yeah, and
So
it's
aiming in that direction is a
Yeah.
good thing.
Yeah, and I'm not sure if we're gonna make it oil-free, but we'll try.
So how do you get your fat?
You can get your fat from every vegetable that you eat, but especially from things like nuts, avocados. So you're getting it from the plants in your diet rather than adding the jug of oil. So, and it's a healthier, more natural kind of thing, because we didn't used to eat all this oil. This is a byproduct that's come in the last, I'm not sure when that started, but when they really started doing monoculture farming, mass farming of, corn and all that kind of stuff. And there's government policies involved in that because they're subsidizing the growing of certain things. But we're growing a lot of corn and that kind of livestock feed in order to feed the animals that are then in turn going to feed us. So anyway, that's a recent thing in our culture, that whole oil thing. Back in the day, we would have used something like lard.
Butter.
Butter, yeah. And if I was, I'm going to say something that you would not expect from somebody who's been vegan and vegetarian. If I had to choose between drinking oil or, having a little bit of lard, I would almost pick the lard, almost. Or I just go without.
But now how will you, this will be very interesting to see how you do popcorn without a little bit of oil in it. You let me know how that goes.
Well, and we use an air popper.
Yeah,
But
mine too.
it's, how do you get your nutritional yeast to stick to it? That's the problem that we're having. But I know some people are doing like a balsamic spray, which, we'll give it a try. Yeah, just like a spritz of a,
What would you put on a salad then?
well, a lot of times what I've done with my salads is to do like lemon juice, like fresh squeezed lemon, maybe some grated ginger, something like that. I don't usually use like an oil-based one, because one of the things that I've found is that when you get away from using oil and then you use oil, all you can taste is that, like you just drank out of a fried chicken bin or something. It has a really nasty consistency and flavor and tongue coating thing. It's not good. So anyway, I just try to go like fresher stuff. We've done like a mashed avocado with lemon juice. So just trying to come up with other things. And then you can thin it out with something like, you can do like a milk-based dressing, like you would with, you're doing an Italian dressing or something. So you start to, there's like a million recipes. That's really what I do. I go to the internet and I go, oil-free salad dressing. And there are some that are being made commercially now by some of the like Dr. No, it's McDougall. McDougall? I think that's his name. He's got a whole line of salt-free, oil-free salad dressings and soups and all kinds of stuff, becoming more and more available commercially. Olive oil, I know, and we've been told that olive oil is like really good for us.
I don't use a lot. Boy, I can't imagine not using any. It's like a little touch goes far.
I know, and I have this spicy sesame oil that I use in one particular recipe, and I'm like, I really like it. And I haven't been able to replicate the flavor, because it's like that little sesame, so, but I'll work on it. Yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes, because there are some things, we just had a sandwich for lunch that had veggies and the diet cheese slices. Neither of those would be on the menu.
I was gonna say, even the vegan cheese?
No, but I have made vegan cheese that doesn't have oil in it. Yeah, it's come out okay. It's one of those things where you really have to work at it to get it to the point where you really know what you're doing. But it's not harder than making bread. It's just a matter of figuring out. I've done some cashew-based cheeses that came out pretty well. I liked those.
Nutritional yeast is still good.
Oh, yeah.
A little bit of a kicky, cheesy taste.
Yep. So, anyway, we'll see how it goes.
That's a journey, yeah.
It is a journey, and I'm kind of trying to get out of it already. I'm like, well, if we just cut it down a little more than that, then
I wasn't even thinking in those terms. I'm just trying to get back to vegan.
Yeah.
I was doing it once upon a time. So I'm thinking, okay, I'm doing way less dairy. Got it down, but I'm not thinking about giving up my olive oil now. I'm going,
it can be done. And we have actually gotten to a point where, I mean, I used to like throw that olive oil in the pan and throw my stuff in there, and now I'm like, okay, I can't do that anymore. So I usually use, I either use a little bit of water or a little bit of vegetable broth, just enough to keep it from sticking. So anyway. Okay, so let's talk about how to veganize a recipe. And I have brought a couple of my vegan cookbooks with me. This one is Mayoko Shinner, and she has a company that makes vegan cheeses and butters. And she cannot keep up with the demand for her products. So she's had to actually open up a new plant. So there's been like this big dip in availability of her products, and everybody's like, oh, I'm gonna die if I don't have it.
So now is her vegan cheeses oil-free?
Some of them are, some of them are not.
Okay.
So this is pretty good. This is pretty good. There's a lot of good recipes in here. And the one issue that I have with this is some of the stuff is like, oh, well, you have to have unicorn tears from Eastern Egypt. And like, no, I don't have to have that. So this is maybe a little more adventurous kind of recipes if you want to really try some new stuff. But the biggest problem with this is that you can't look up bread because it's all these clever little names like, dairy and egg-free goodness is the name of the category. I'm like, I don't know what that means. The meat of the argument, magic and pasta, the grains of truth. I'm like, just call it bread. It's bread. So it's hard to look things up, but it is a lot of fun, and there's a lot of good recipes and a lot of good information kind of explaining some things. And I like it, and I use it, but I haven't done a whole lot of recipes from it.
How does she spell her last name?
Schinner. So she has just ramped up the new plant. She's still getting things back to a point where she can keep her customers happy. She does ship her products, and they're usually available at Whole Foods. So she's starting to really be able to get the distribution piece of it down. This one is called But I Could Never Go Vegan, said every vegan ever. And interestingly, this was given to us by Mike's son, who is really, he doesn't get the whole vegan thing. Like, you can just tell he is confused by it, doesn't get it, what's his old man doing anyway? Ooh, Thai seitan satay with spicy peanut dipping sauce.
Smart kid.
Roasted veggie deep dish pizza. Anyway, so lots of recipes in this one.
Yeah.
So these are things that are already vegan recipes. If you want to find a vegan recipe for something, you just go on the internet and type in vegan corn chowder.